The way you do one thing is the way you do everything. So I'm at the gym and I'm getting to it, right? I'm on that elliptical, I'm doing the bench, I'm squatting, I'm doing everything, right? I'm in there doing crazy. And then as I get to the door, I'll go down the steps. I'm about to leave out. Something in my head says, Lawrence, you still got more in the tank. You still got more to give. You still got more energy in you. So I go back and I put everything I could into them weights. Okay? Y'all see me. I'm getting big. I'm getting big. And what this made me think about is how throughout our life, we always have a little bit more that we just don't tap into. And what I want to talk to you about today is how if you let the little things slide, it's only a matter of time before you start letting the big stuff slide too. Like, do you have a friend who is late to their job? Like, they're late to work. Sooner or later, they're going to be late to their parties. They're going to be late to hanging out with you. They're going to be late because the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. This also transfers into so many areas of our life. Let's say someone is impulsive. Like when they make money, they spend it really fast. When something good happens, it just goes straight down really fast because they're impulsive. They don't know how to stop and control themselves. It's a quality within ourselves that shows up in every area of life. Someone who's never satisfied. Like, no matter how much money they make, they're not happy about it. No matter how big they are in the gym, they always feel insecure. Someone who never is satisfied. You're going to look at their life, and over a long span of time, they go from job to job to job, business to business to business, relationship to relationship to relationship. They just can never settle down and be satisfied because it's a quality within them. And we need to address these things because if the way you do one thing is sloppy, the way your bedroom is sloppy, the way your work ethic sloppy, the way your relationships and your friendships sloppy, that's a character quality within us. It's not that, oh, I'm late to work. No, it's you're late. It's not I'm impulsive when I get really happy. No, it's you're impulsive. And I'm not saying that we need to be perfectionists. I'm not saying we need to be perfect because I'm sure not. But we need to be aware. We need to learn how to listen to that little voice in the back of our head that says, you still got more in the tank. You still have more. Let's give our full effort. Let's put our full self out there. Let's give all we can give because what you put in is what you'll get out. If you put in lazy effort, you're going to get lazy results. If you put in inconsistency, if you put in sloppy work ethic, if you put in disrespect and rude and all these bad things, you're going to get that right back. Which is why every single day, y'all see my face on here. Whether I get one view or I get a million views, I'm still posting these videos because the way I do one thing is the way I do everything. I am consistent. I show up. I put that work in. I invest in my success. I support those around me. I am someone who wants to help the world. This is why I do this. So it's not that Lawrence is consistent with his business. No, Lawrence is consistent. If Lawrence says he's going to be somewhere at this time, he's there at that time, unless something major happens or once in a blue moon, I overslept. But even on those once in a blue moon incidents, I hold myself accountable. I say to myself, Lawrence, let's not make this a habit. Let's not allow this to happen again. And it's not about us being perfect. It's about us learning how to catch ourselves. Because throughout our life, you're always going to have time when you're like, I could have done more. I could have worked harder. I could have made another video. I could have did another rep in the gym. Could have showed up more. Could have done something harder. Like I could have went to that next level. And if you want exceptional results, you have to be exceptional. To have an exceptional life means you must be an exception. Most people do not hold themselves to that higher standard. They hold themselves to good enough, just getting by. It's okay. It's good. It's all right. Therefore, their life is good enough, just all right, better than average. But I don't want to be better than average. I want to be exceptional. And because I know what I want, and I know the kind of person that requires, and I know the work ethic and discipline and character quality that takes, I do things that are inherently exceptional. Because if you want an exceptional life, you must be willing to do exceptional things. That might mean you got to put all your money up into your business. That might mean you got to invest in a course. That might mean you got to get a degree in the subject. That might mean you got to network with people and have conversations that are going to make you feel dumb. That's going to mean you got to put that extra rep in. That might mean that when you feel like, man, I did enough, you got to do more. Because listen, right? I took a look at the people in my industry, like other speakers, other youth empowerment speakers, and people like that. They be uploading like once a week, one time a week. They post like one reel a day. They they not putting that work in, right? Now, if you're somebody like Tony Robbins or Les Brown and you're like already super famous, already super successful, that's different. That's different. You already putting so much work that you don't have to post like 5 times a day. And even then, he doesn't do it himself. He has a whole team. So that's different. But referring to people in my situation where I'm a one-man band, okay? It's just me. When I post the video, I record the video, I make the title, I do the thumbnails, I do the hashtags, I do it all. When I send my emails out, I send the email, I manage the email, I book my meetings, I show up to the meeting, I do the recordings. It's just me. When it's time to pay my office rent, I make the money, I put up the money, I sign the contract, I do it all. It's just me. When it's time to go to the schools and the youth organizations and all that, and I got to take a flight, I book the flight, I pay for the flight, I travel there, I pack my bags, I get to the hotel, I book my hotel, I do everything. I get on the stage, I speak, I record. It's just me. So, to have an exceptional life means I must do exceptional work. And I know what that comes with. So, I don't complain about it. Yes, sometimes I be tired. Sometimes I be up at 11 at night, 1 in the morning, editing YouTube videos, making hashtags, doing thumbnails. I be up late at night doing that work. But I know that to have an exceptional life requires exceptional work. And because I'm willing to do exceptional work, that means that I have exceptional results. Right now, I'm not getting millions of views, okay? Right now, I'm not. Right now, I'm getting like 10 views on every Instagram reel, and I'm getting like 100 views on my reels, one like. I don't like those results. However, I know that if I just keep going, something's gonna work. I've tried different thumbnails, I've tried different like hooks, I've tried a lot of things. And in order to have the life I want, I just gotta keep pushing. And the gym is such a great metaphor for this because when you go to the gym, it's gonna be difficult. It's gonna be hard. Nobody said the weights are gonna be easy. Nobody said that this is gonna just be fun and enjoyable every time. No, it's called working out. You gotta put that work in, and the work you put in will be the results you get out. If you look at people who are like super muscular, super in shape, they got a 6 pack, they got an 8 pack, they muscles is busting out their shirt, and you look at the way they work out, they be putting that work in. They be going to the gym 2, 3 times a day, 2, 3 hours every time, They meal planning. They putting their food on a scale. They're counting calories. They have like a fitness tracker. They're measuring their protein and their fiber and their carbohydrates and everything. They're measuring out their water. They're changing up their diet. They're doing that work. To have an exceptional result, you must do exceptional work. And a lot of people, they want to shortcut it. They want to say, okay, I'm going to just take this magic pill. I'm going to buy this magic thing. I'm going to shortcut it. I'm going to speed it up. I'm going to rush the process. But the people who rush the process, they crash out and burn. Like, right? No disrespect to him, but you could use Ronnie Coleman as an example. Yes, he put in a lot of work. Like, he did the hard work necessary, but ultimately, the steroid use has now meant he can't walk. Like, the amount of steroids and stuff he took has pretty much destroyed his body. And he was aware of that. Like, he knew going into this, this is what is going to happen. So he thought about it. He made his decision. And a lot of times, when you want to have this really big result in life, you have to sacrifice things. Like, be willing to you have to be willing to sacrifice a lot to get exceptional results. You have to be willing to cut out the bad friends, to cut out the bad habits, to stop going to the parties. Like, I kid you not. If you go and ask anyone from my high school graduating class, they will tell you that this is true. I went to prom, and the entire time I sat in a corner reading a book. If you're curious what the book was, the book is called Psycho-Cybernetics. I forgot the author of the book. Like, I forgot his name. But it's basically a book about self-image and how through controlling your subconscious mind, you can get these crazy results in life. It was written by a guy who was a plastic surgeon, and he realized that when people saw themselves differently, their entire life became different. And the point I'm getting at here is that you look at people who have these successful lives, but you don't know the work that went into that behind closed doors. You don't know the times when they were like dog tired, but they said one more rep. And then they said, you know what? I'm gonna do five more. And then they did that extra five, and then they left. And these little things over a long span of time create massive differences. Because let's say you got two people and they're both 18, like they're both teenagers, right? One of them goes to the gym, the other one does not. There's not really much of a difference. 19, not much of a difference. 20, okay, now one of them looks slightly better. 25, now they're just like they're just split between them. 30 years old. You got one person who's 30 years old and they're like dad bod, out of shape, beer belly. The other one, six pack abs. Because these little things added up, right? And if you do one thing, it transfers into other things. Because there's a quote and I keep saying this, the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. If you have sloppy eating habits, you probably also have a sloppy bedroom because you have sloppy characteristics. If you are very hard working in the gym, like you're dedicated, you're disciplined, you have a meal plan, you're like doing these things, and you have a really healthy body, there's a high likelihood that you also have a clean bedroom. Now, there's exceptions to this. Like, there's some people who are so incredibly dedicated to one singular thing that the other areas of their life fall off. Like, there's some people who their entire life is just about making money and they neglect their physical health, they neglect their mental health. Those are outliers, those are different. But the way you do this one thing will show up in other areas of your life. If you're late to work, you're going to be late to parties. You're going to be late to hanging out with your friends. Or if you're late to work, but you're always on exact time when hanging out with your friends, you're going to bars, you're going to parties, that means that you're neglecting your priorities. Because your job should be a bigger priority to show up on time to than hanging out at a party. I know it might sound like, why would he say that? Plain and simple. If you don't have income, how do you manage to pay your rent? If you prioritize going out and partying more than you prioritize paying your rent, your life is going to look really bad. If you prioritize the negatives more than the positives, your life is going to look really bad. Like the example I said earlier with the person who puts going out partying, drinking, and gambling and all that over things like their physical health, their mental health, their financial well being, their business, their job, their family, their life is going to look really bad because, man, you always are out partying, but you never spend time with us. Like, you never spend time with your family or your friends or your loved ones or your relationship. So, plain and simple, the way you do one thing will be the way you do everything. And you look closely and you'll notice this in your life and in the lives of others. Someone who is very successful, like they have a lot of money. Let's just use that an example. Like they're a business owner, they're a musician, whatever. More than likely, they also hang around people who do that same thing because they're connecting with like minded individuals. And there's a quote also that if you hang around five, like, I'm trying to remember how this went. It goes something like if you hang around five lazy people or five broke people, something like that, you'll be the sixth. Or if you hang around five plumbers, you'll become the sixth. You will become what you're around. And ask yourself, are you around what you want to be like? Are you around people, places, and things that are beneficial to you or self destructive? And like I keep saying, you don't have to be perfect, but if the good is here, like let's say this is the good and the bad is here, we need to make some changes. Like, okay, let's say you're working a full-time job, 8 hours. You go to school, you have a kid, you have family responsibilities. Well, most of my audience are teenagers and young adults, so that might be different. But let's just use more relevant information now. You're in college and you are studying to be a doctor. Like you're taking some really high level classes and you're stressed out. You're like, oh my gosh, the classwork, the studying, the books, all this stuff is really hard. Okay, go ahead, watch a movie, take a nap, relax. But if the bad is like this and the good is like this, that's a problem. However, if the good is like this and the bad is like this, yes, it will have an effect. It will have an impact on your results, but it's all right to enjoy yourself responsibly and within a limit. So, what I want to really nail across to you is that every time you make a decision to do something or not to do something, it is a vote for the identity that you're building. And the way you do one thing shows up in every other area of life. If you're somebody who procrastinates doing your work, it is going to show up in you procrastinating other things. And let's say you procrastinate doing things that are beneficial, but you don't procrastinate doing things that are self destructive. Like you procrastinate working on your business, studying, going to the gym, but you do not at all procrastinate hanging out, partying, drinking, smoking, all that kind of stuff. That's going to show up in your life. You're going to procrastinate job interviews. You're going to procrastinate paying your bills. You're going to procrastinate your health and your well being, but you're the first one in line when the club opens up. You're the first one in line at the party. You're the first one in line to go spend some money, but you're the last one to go to the gym. The last one to get your mental health right. The last one to get a higher paying job. The last one to start a business. So, ask yourself, is the way I'm acting in line with what I want? Because if you do stuff you don't, if you do things that aren't good for you, and you don't do what is good for you, it will show up in every single area of your life. Everything impacts everything. The way you do one thing is the way you do everything. If you are late to your job, you're going to be late to other things. If you are, and I mean consistently late, like on a consistent basis, you're late to do stuff that's good for you. You're going to be late to the gym. You're going to be late to your job. You're going to be late to working on your business. You're going to be late, 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 late. Everything impacts everything. So for the next week, I want you to pay attention to yourself. I want you to notice, what do you do? For example, make a schedule, like make a calendar that says something like, all right, 8 a.m., wake up, 9 a.m., be at school, 10 a.m., get to your job, whatever is important for you to do. Make a schedule, right? Make a schedule and then stick to it. And every time you're late to do something or you're early to do something, notice that. Like, dang, I was early to go to the gym. I said I was going to go to the gym at 9:30. It went at 9. That means the gym must be a priority to me. Like, that means I must like doing this. And because I like going to the gym, I like doing things that are beneficial to my well being. And if you think that's a stretch, just notice the pattern. Oh, I was late to go to a party. And I'm talking about, like, you a party you ain't supposed to be at. Like a party where y'all just doing wild stuff. That means the gym and my well-being is a bigger priority to me than doing things that are self-destructive. Then you notice other things like, all right, what are you eating? Okay, I'm eating healthy. I'm eating steak and rice. I'm eating chicken and rice. I'm eating healthy things. All right. Now you look at what kind of music you listen to. Oh, I'm listening to uplifting music. I'm listening to workout music. I'm listening to believe in yourself. I'm listening to love your life kind of music. Okay. So that means that you are making good decisions about what you consume, because you're making good decisions about what you consume physically and mentally, like with the music. Now you ask yourself, all right, let's just say you're somebody who goes to church or mosque or mass or pray or whatever. Or you just like have your own personal, spiritual, religious, whatever beliefs. And you show up to that consistently. Like you say, all right, every day at 8 a.m., I'm going to pray. Every day at 9 p.m., I'm going to pray before bed. And you consistently do this. So you're making good decisions about what you consume physically, mentally, and spiritually. So everything impacts everything. The way you do one thing, being smart about what you consume, shows up in your physical eating habits, your mental, what you take in through music and entertainment, and your spiritual path. So with that said, I hope you guys got value from this video. I dropped a lot of gems in there. And also, I normally say this at the start, but if you're a podcaster, school principal, or run a youth focused organization, my name's Lawrence. I'm a youth empowerment speaker. I help teens and young adults build self love, confidence, and a positive outlook on life. I'm also an author. You can purchase my most recent book at the top link in the description, as well as follow me on Instagram, TikTok, and my other social medias. And yeah, that's everything. And the last thing, if you're somebody who wants to book a one-on-one call with me to get some advice, some coaching, you can also book that in the link in the description. Have a wonderful, blessed, and lovely day.